Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I need a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
I have a motion from trustee McGlynn, seconded by trustee Murphy, to accept the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, Secretary Hill, will you please take attendance?
All right. All trustees are present, with the exception of trustee Schaller Barber, who is joining us virtually from Florida, and trustee Johnson will join us shortly. She is in another meeting at this moment. And trustee Jackson is not here tonight at all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and Dr. Slade is present.
Ms. Sue, it looks like we have some guests in our house.
We do, yes. This evening we will have 3 groups of students to recognize. Our first group is the Excelsior students from Indian Prairie. I'd like to introduce their principal, Ms. Tamu Nelson.
Good evening. I am the proud principal of Indian Prairie, here to recognize my students for the Excelsior. I have with me several teachers. Ms. Maxim is a first grade teacher, Ms. Hoffmeyer, another first grade teacher, Ms. Bosch, second grade teacher, Ms. Walters, second grade teacher, Ms. Payne, third grade teacher, and our amazing bus driver, Ms. Miller. The first student I'm recognizing is Silas Bennett. Silas was recognized for his amazing ability to learn self-regulation. He has taken full responsibility for his behavior and academics. Silas is a classroom leader in all subject areas, but especially in reading and mathematics. Silas follows school and classroom expectations and is a good friend to others. We are so proud of how Silas conducts himself at school and the amazing academic achievements he has already achieved. Congratulations, Silas. Next, we have Jordan Dwyer. Jordan Dwyer is recognized by his teacher, Miss Walters. Thank you. Dwyer is exemplifying the PAC expectations in our classroom. Jordan consistently demonstrates peacefulness, attentive, cooperative, and kindness in every aspect of his academic journey. Jordan is unwavering dedication to his academics, and his willingness to help his peers without hesitation truly embodies what it means to be part of our learning community. Jordan's commitment to excellence sets a remarkable example for their classroom expectations, fostering an environment where everyone feels supported and empowered to succeed. Thank you, Jordan, for your outstanding contribution to our classroom dynamics and for continuously uplifting the values of the PAC. Next, we have Asha Limbaski. Asha is a model student that has shown great success in second grade. Asha exemplifies our PAC expectations each and every day and is always willing to lend a reminder to others. She works cautiously and diligently, so she always learns attended targets and genuinely loves being part of our classroom. Asha is truly one of the most kind-hearted souls to pass through the classroom doors. Next, we have Bryson Sharp. Bryson has completely changed his outlook on learning and modeling PAC behavior since his kindergarten year. Now, as a second grader, Bryson enjoys showcasing our school expectations and gives 100% of his effort to his learning. Bryson has a true zest for life and is always willing to lend a helping hand in friends in need. His bright smile and caring eyes will melt your heart he encounters. Bryson is showing us all how we can constantly change and grow into an ever-improving version of ourselves. And last but definitely not least, we have Jordan Smith. Jordan Smith is being recognized for increasing his fast bridge multiplication to 12 score 60 since December. Not only is Jordan growing academically, he is kind to his peers and embodies our PAC expectations at Indian Prairie. Peaceful, attentive, cooperative, and kind. An advocate for peace, he cares about the well-being of others and isn't afraid to speak up if something is wrong. Even when treated unkindness, he rose above and didn't let it dim the bright light of hope inside him. His smile is contagious and his creative spirit is strong.
So I'll take a picture, and then parents, you're welcome to come up if you want to come a little closer to get a group picture. A couple of weeks ago, there was a regional spelling bee at Chenery Auditorium. So Dr. Angela Justice, our interim director of curriculum instruction and professional development, will tell us about the spelling bee.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Slade. We would like to present our first runner-up as well as our winner of our regional bee, and they both will be traveling to Maryland to represent Kalamazoo and Kalamazoo Public Schools in the Big Scribs National Spelling Bee. We first have Omar Eversole. And our overall winner is Carter Tuthill. Both Carter and Omar are 8th grade students from Millwood Magnet School.
Anyone else? Can we get a picture?
Thank you.
For our third and final board recognition this evening, we will meet some student athletes from Kalamazoo Central. And I'd like to introduce the interim athletic director, Greg Straka.
Board members, Dr. Slade, thank you for having me here again today to brag on and recognize a couple of my giants. First, I'd like to recognize Azalyn Lindsay Allen. Azalyn is a... Don't let her sweetness fool you. She has a 26-4 record this season. 17 of those 26 wins were by pin. She's a two-time state qualifier, qualifying in the girls' division this year. She was second in our region. She finished first in all but one of her regular season tournaments. She's a member of the All-State Academic Team with a GPA of 3.42. She won Match of the Year and was the first girl in KC wrestling history to be named a team captain. And I would also like to recognize Rohan Marion. Rohan is a senior this year. He finished this season with a 43-6 record. His career record is 140 wins and 33 losses. And just like Azalin, he set KC history this year, being the first wrestler to qualify for states all 4 years. This year at the state tournament, he finished 7th, making him an all-state D1 athlete. He was the district champion. He placed second in regionals. He finished first in all but 2 regular season tournaments, and in those 2 that he didn't place first, he placed second. He led the team in wins, 43 wins, 119 takedowns, and he finished first in team points in 217. He was given the Leadership Award by his team. He's a member of the All-State Academic Team, and he also earned individual All-State Academic honors with a grade point average of 4.09. And I am fortunate to have Azalin for one more year at Kalamazoo Central. And I'm sorry to see Rohan leaving this year because he's such a great model of what it means to be a giant. So thank you.
That concludes our recognitions this evening.
Thank you. Secretary Hill, do you have any correspondence?
One moment here. We did get some correspondence through the email. I have to refresh my brain. On March 12th, we received an email concerning YAA from Christina Medina Cowles, and I replied. And on 3/14, we received email concerns regarding district attendance procedures from Ms. Nora Hawk, and I replied. And on 3/14, Ms. Shona Espinoza sent an email notifying us of some community events, and I replied to that one. And that was all.
Thank you. I need a motion to accept the consent calendar items.
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Hill, or Trustee McGlynn. All in favor? Nope. I need a second. Don't look at me like that, Trustee Murphy.
Second.
I have a motion from Trustee McGlynn, seconded by Trustee Murphy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, Ms. Kaiser, can you please tell us about purchase recommendation 2024-33?
Thank you, President Harrison. Yes, we just have one purchase recommendation this evening, request number 2024-33, in the amount of $4,349,583. and this is for construction management services for the 2022 bond projects. And this is funded out of the 2022 bond. Thank you.
Any questions? Seeing none, at this time, we will have reports and recommendation from the superintendent.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we're going to just have a quick beginning of the third trimester update for the community. I do want to thank the board. We had a retreat activity last Saturday, and some of the information I'm going to share with you tonight is what I shared with the board last weekend. So we're in the initial stages of the strategic plan process. We haven't had a strategic plan for a number of years here in Kalamazoo, so it's important that we reestablish that process and create a strategic plan. Part of the initial stages of that process, we'll be visiting every school during the months of April and May. And when we visit schools, we're going to basically receive input from whoever comes to the school for that night. And what we're going to talk about, basically, we're going to conduct a SWOT analysis, which means we're going to identify the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that face the district. So I'm just going to give you a quick example of how this works. And these are my opinions right now. I've been here a few months, as you know, since July the 1st. So looking at the first slide, so when we come to the schools, every person who comes will have the opportunity to identify strengths of the district, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So these are just some that I'm giving in my opinion. So right now, some of the current strengths of our district, we have dedicated, compassionate teachers and support staff, administrators. The whole stakeholder unit in our district, to me, is hardworking, amazing. I've never seen such a work ethic, and I've been in 5 different districts. This is probably the strongest work ethic I've seen. We have staff members who work in the district, live in the district, who really, really love our students, so that's a strength. We have excellent programming and activities for students. We talked about our literacy nights. We have programs and activities every week in our schools. Again, very impressive. Some of the major improvements this year, transportation. I know when I first started, one of the things that we wanted to focus on, we had bus routes that were canceled, so that was a major issue. Big improvement in that this year. I want to thank Ms. Arm and all the bus drivers. Big improvement in that area. Big instructional focus this year. That's a focus area, big improvement. And also just the SEL supports we have, specifically all the new counselors and therapists that we had that are working with our students. Also, I've never seen so many community resources in the school district and partnerships. I'm talking about community in schools, Griffin Place, YMCA, Boys and Girls Club again. Those are strengths. And also just the diversity of the district is a strength. Most districts don't have a 30-30-30 kind of split among the different groups in the district. So again, major strengths of the district. And when you come to the different schools for the strategic planning, you will have a chance to identify what you think are strengths, what you think are weaknesses, what you think are opportunities and threats. And we're promoting real conversation. Like when I'm talking about in this next slide, there's going to be some real conversation coming from what I see. So looking at some of the weaknesses of our district right now, and again, this is my opinion, and when you come to the school, you'll be able to give your opinion, and we'll take everybody's input and save it, and it goes toward creating a strategic plan. So one of the weaknesses of our district, to me, we need to continue to improve communication. I'm not talking about our website. I think that's great. I'm talking about making sure that when parents or folks call a school, they receive a phone call back. That's still an area we need to work on, making sure that nobody can say, I called and nobody called us back. We are still having some concerns in that area, and we're going to continue to address. Also, this is me saying this is my opinion, our participation from the community for certain activities. Let me just give an example. We have an excellent Saturday school program where we're teaching reading and math, some of the basics. We passed out 300 and something applications. We have 100-something students who showed up. I know personally I passed out or mailed out at least 300 attendance meeting letters for parents to come meet with me. I think one day this week I had a meeting scheduled for like 80 parents. 2 parents showed up. So we have to improve in that area. So I'm talking about the community, and that's real conversation I'm having. So another area for improvement, and again, we made a lot of strides this year, but we still need to improve overall student achievement, attendance, and graduation rates. And I put all students, we need all of our students to improve, all of our subgroups, where most of our students do extremely well, but we still have certain subgroups that are not. So those are major weaknesses, and those are, when you come to the school sessions for the strategic plan, you get to voice and share your opinion. And this is very important for everybody to have input. These are some proposed activities that are going to happen in the next few months, so going into next year. I want to thank Western University and Kalamazoo Valley College for partnering with us. I know my first week on the job, I met with Dr. Martha Warfield and Wendy Fields, and they told me about a Bronco Buddies program we had in 6th grade, and they talked about how important it was for us to start that back up. We're going to start that back up soon, meaning 6th graders will go visit Western University and be exposed to that college all day, so we kind of increase enrollment. K-Valley is going to start up a new program called Cougar Links, and they're going to focus on 9th grade students. But the goal is to improve and promote college attendance among our young people. So again, I want to thank those two partners for making that happen. Again, that's a whole community effort, but those are two things that are going to start in the next few months going into next school year. We also want to make sure we have summer activities. We're going to have our normal summer school, focus on student achievement. What's going to be different about summer school this year will not be optional for some grades. So that's the difference. It's not going to be something where a student who missed 80 days of school who has all Fs, it's not going to be optional for that student. It's going to be something that we mandate. So I want to put that out there. Also, we're having summer camps in our buildings. We haven't had summer camps in our buildings since the pre-COVID period, so we're going to start that back up. And something I'm really excited about, I heard a lot about this when I first started, and this is something that Parks and Recs, we're working with them to make sure this happens. We're going to have midnight basketball for students in the summer. I grew up in Baltimore. We had midnight basketball every summer, meaning we had basketball during the summer. We have a gym open from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. in the morning to keep students off the street. I think we're using all different age groups up to 25, but it's going to keep students off the street and have them involved in a structured activity. So I do want to thank Parks and Recs for working with us to make that happen. But again, we're trying to do what's best for students. These are some things that we're putting in place. A continued focus on attendance. I'm very proud of our attendance outcomes. As you know, we put a new attendance initiative in place starting at the end of November. I'm very proud to say, and one thing I'm also going to start promoting is we're going to be very transparent with our data. Very transparent. If you look up here, I'm proud to say that we had every single school in our district improve in their attendance since November, except one program. That's our youngest program where we have our youngest students. So we understand that, but every single school in our district outside of that one school, major growth in attendance. Normally, folks brag about 1 and 2 point reductions. If you look up here, you look at 5 points, 10 points. In some cases, almost 20 points. Amazing outcomes. So I want to thank the whole community for making this happen. This is a community effort. And I'm also going to say, I want to, again, have real conversations. I get a lot of emails, good and bad. Some folks upset about receiving letters. Some folks don't like that, but you see the results. So we're going to keep moving forward with that initiative. I want to congratulate and give special attention to these schools. They had double-digit reductions in the number of students who are chronically absent. Anything above 10% in education terms is like winning the Super Bowl. Every school on this list had more than 10% reduction in chronic attendance, which is amazing. I want to just give a special shout out to K Central and Phoenix. It's extremely difficult to improve attendance at the high school level. Extremely difficult. One school, K Central, I think had 19, and Phoenix had 17% students reduction in chronic attendance since November. So again, I want to thank the whole community in those schools, the teachers, staff, bus drivers, everybody for making that happen. Amazing work. This is also a conversation. I receive a lot of emails, good and bad, about school discipline and climate. So I just want to be clear. We're going to continue to focus on ensuring safe learning environments for all of our students and staff. But one thing that should be happening, all schools should be using a variety of responses to address discipline, meaning, let's say you have a child who's been sent to the office 40 times. You should receive phone calls, parent conferences, home visits, mediations, all that stuff should be happening. And if it's not happening, please let us know. All that stuff I just said should be happening. So if your child's been sent to the office 80 times, which happens, you should be receiving phone calls, in-person conferences, team conferences, home visits, mediations, all that stuff should be happening. If it's not happening, please let us know. But I do want to be clear, and then this is where I have folks who get upset with me, but I'm not going to change. We're not going to change with this. Any child involved in egregious acts of inappropriate behavior, fighting students or parents, students or staff, cussing out students, staff, we're taking serious action. I'm not changing with that. Violent fights, putting your hands on staff, I'm talking about any staff. Bus driver, support staff, teacher, cussing out bus drivers, support staff, teachers, we're taking action. So we're going to continue to take action with that. And I just want to be clear about that. And as we all know, when it gets warmer, we see an increase in inappropriate student behavior. That's why I'm having this conversation with you now. Again, I want to be clear. We have to make decisions sometimes that are unpopular. So sometimes when we give a student a 10-day suspension or more, folks are upset with me. But we have to make difficult decisions to make sure we have safe learning environments. I just want to be clear. I don't believe in whispering. I'm saying it to the whole group. And we're going to have a community meeting soon that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But I'm also saying it so students know. And something that starts to happen more so at the end of the school year, I'm mainly talking to high school students. When you walk into school in the morning, you're making a decision to go to every class. So if we have students who are not going to all of their classes, hanging out in the hallways, hanging out in the bathroom, opening the door for trespassers to come in, we're taking serious action against those students. Again, this is a very important time of the year. We have students who are focused on trying to graduate or get promoted to the next grade. I'm informing teachers and principals mainly, to take action. So don't get mad at the principal, get mad at me. Okay, our goal is to be transparent and provide opportunities for input, very transparent. We want to create a transparent system. So on the 18th of April, we're having a community forum, most likely at Lincoln, Maple Street, or Linden Grove. We haven't decided yet. But it's going to be an open forum, meaning you could pose any question that you want, and we will try to provide an honest response. No question off limits. It's going to be for whoever lives. We're going to have enough space, so if 200 people show up, we have space for 200. But it's going to be an open forum. You pose any question that you want, and we will try to provide an honest response. Again, we're trying to keep our word on what we said we were going to do this year, and we've kept our word so far. We're going to continue with that. These are our continued focus areas for the district. Continuous improvement, meaning we're always thinking about how can we improve the school district. That's our goal. How can we never become complacent? How can we keep making it better for students and staff and parents? And again, our main stakeholders, again, who are students. We want to operate a student-centered district, meaning we want to make decisions in the best interest of students. I want to keep it real. We opened Saturday school. It was a little bit of pushback, but we're making decisions in the best interest of students. When we have this midnight basketball, it's going to be some pushback, but we're doing this in the best interest of students and young people. So, again, sometimes decisions are not popular, but, again, we're trying to make decisions that are in the best interest of students. Again, opportunities for feedback and community input, we just talked about that. Just so you know, if you have a concern or issue, if you've gone through the problem-solving chain of command, which is you go to your principal first, then you go up through the administration, Dr. Dyson, Mr. McCain, Ms. Saunders. If you're not pleased with that, then I don't mind meeting with any parent or group who has a concern. The last thing is accountability, and that starts at the top. That starts with me, meaning if things don't continue to improve, if things are not getting better, please hold me accountable as the superintendent. I don't do smoke and mirrors, so if things are not improving, I'll admit and say why, and if things don't continue to improve, then I need to be addressed. But if I'm holding myself accountable, we're going to hold everybody accountable. I just want to be clear about that. If I'm up here saying publicly, hold me accountable, that means we're going to hold all stakeholders accountable. And I said any questions, but I don't think does anybody up here have a question? Okay, again, I just want to reinforce the fact that we're having that community meeting on April the 18th, where we're going to send out information of the time and location when you come back from spring break. And if I don't want to hold the meeting up, so I'm going to say my announcements now. I'm coming from St. Louis. That's where I was working last. In the last 2 weeks, we've had one student killed in a fight, a student fight. We had one student who's been in a coma for 2 weeks from a fight. So I want to just emphasize, even during spring break, we need to make sure that our students are supervised and involved in structured activities. I want to make sure that folks stay safe during spring break. I like spring break, but I always worry about students during spring break. So please make sure you keep a careful watch of your students, your children, your kids during spring break, because I've had some bad experience. But again, we all need the rest, especially our staff, but make sure that our students are involved in structured activities during spring break.
I think Trustee McGlynn had a question.
Yes.
It's not necessarily a question, but I just wanted to mention that as the new person on the team, I'm really impressed at Dr. Slade's openness and really addressing issues and making hard decisions. It's not an easy gig, and it's really important that we do have that transparency. I also want to say to people, we had a great board retreat where we did work on the strategic plan, and everybody is going to have an opportunity to do that work. Every school is going to have an opportunity to do that work. And so I really, really encourage people to come out and voice your concerns. We're saying it. We're saying, come out and tell us what you love about the schools, what's good and wonderful, and tell us what you're having a problem with. And, it's really an opportunity to make change. So, again, just appreciate the team and Dr. Slade.
Okay, at this time, we're going to have Mr. Howe come up and talk about our testing schedule and some changes that are being made.
Good evening, Dr. Slade, Board. We will begin fall testing on April 9th, a week after students and staff return from spring break. Students in grades 3 through 11 will take a variety of tests from the battery of assessments that are part of what's required for all students attending public schools in the state of Michigan. Students in grades 3 through 8 take English language arts and mathematics assessments. Students in grades 5, 8, and 11 take additional tests in science and social studies. These assessments are administered over multiple days as described in the calendars that follow. Stay there. You'll notice that students in grades pre-K through second aren't part of the state assessment system. In general, students in grades where only ELA and math are addressed have 3.5 to 4 hours of testing over a 2-week period. Students in grades 5, 8, and 11 have more time spent on testing as they take additional tests in science, social studies, and the 11th grade ACT Work Keys assessment. Due to all College Board assessments, that's PSAT and SAT, moving online this year, you'll notice that high school students have days where they will be testing and attending in person, and other days where students will be attending school remotely when other grades are testing. On days where specific grades are tested, students will be provided lunch and released early. The schedule will vary based on the length of the test and individual students' needs for specific testing accommodations like extended time. So you can see that ELA and math are split up over the 2 weeks. Grades that have science and social studies tests, those are split up as well. And for high school, we're only bringing in one grade at a time, and other grades are attending school remotely during those days. This is the first time that College Board assessments have been administered online. They've always been paper pencil tests, and so it's easier to manage large numbers of students because you don't have the potential technology issues that could come up. So we want to be careful because we know that this is an important test for all of our students. Next slide. Some more newsletter will be sent multiple times with testing details. It may have already gone out, but should go out this evening if it hasn't already. The S'more platform allows for translation into home languages as needed. Additionally, all information is available on our website. Reminders will be provided via social media and directly from schools. Families should check with their schools for any additional information. So one final note, given that all testing will occur online this year, it's very important that students bring their charged KPS Chromebook with them on testing days. We'll have a few backups available, but not enough for every student. Thank you for your support and encouragement on the behalf of our students as they participate in this important opportunity to showcase the learning they've made over the past school year. Thanks.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can you explain remote instruction days?
Yeah, so it'll run just like a typical schedule. And so students will log on with their Chromebook. Teachers will be available for the duration of the course period. Students will, I suspect, have mostly group projects and stuff that they're working on so they can check in with a teacher and get support.
I think what I'm asking, so am I understanding that like on the Tuesday and Wednesday, that 11th grade students do not report to school? Is that what's meant by remote instruction? They stay home?
That's correct. That's correct.
Can we go back one slide?
Yes.
And so, am I understanding that these 3 days students will not be in school?
If you're looking at 11th grade,
Or 9th grade, 10th grade, those days students don't come to school?
students will be attending school from home via their Chromebook.
Oh.
So common practice in districts all around us is to just not hold school on those days for students who are not testing. We're actually doing much more by holding online or remote opportunities for students to continue to engage with teachers and content.
Would this be comparable to synchronous learning when we were in COVID times?
Yeah, I don't even want to think about COVID times anymore, but yes, teachers will be available for the duration of the class period. Students will be assigned a variety of either direct instruction via Google Meet link or have the teacher available during check-ins if they need it. But teachers will take attendance just like they do if kids were in school.
And I guess that's what my question was. How are we doing attendance? So it's going to be done the same way
That's
that it
right.
would be? Mhm.
That's right. Another question?
Sorry. For those students who have 504s or IEPs and or were promoted a grade in the high school throughout the school year, either after first trimester or second trimester, when is the appropriate time to confirm which day they should report on site for testing?
So building teams, that's a great question because we have students who earn credits at different rates, right? So it's not always clear to a student which test maybe they're floating between 9th and 10th grade credit-wise. If it's your second year, you should test on the second day of testing like you're a 10th grader.
For example, last year, my sophomore became a junior after first trimester.
Yeah.
This was discussed during first trimester during 504s, and all throughout the year, I received communications that my junior was still a sophomore. So some scrambling needed to be done. So
Yeah, counselors and building teams can help confirm if you have a question. If it's any question in your mind at all, you should reach out to your building team and they can help you. We've been doing a lot of work over the last few weeks assigning students to test sections, so that should be very clear.
And so if there are any questions, they should reach out to their counselors as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Well, given that we're headed on to spring break, that first week back from spring break, absolutely. Or send an email just to get ahead of it.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
At this time, our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Ms. Sheila Dorsey Smith, will announce an administrative appointment.
Thank you, Dr. Slade. We would like to recommend Lisa Dewey to the position of Director of Student Services. Ms. Dewey earned a Bachelor of Arts degree from Hope College in Education, a Master of Arts degree from Western Michigan University in Educational Leadership, excuse me, and is currently enrolled in a PhD program for Educational Leadership at Western Michigan University, and she's expected to complete the program in May of 2025. Ms. Dewey is currently employed here in Kalamazoo Public Schools as a 31AA mental health consultant. While pursuing her doctorate, she taught education and educational leadership courses at Western Michigan and Muskegon College. Prior to this experience, she worked in Kalamazoo Public Schools for 13 years, 6 years as the principal of Spring Valley Center for Exploration, Human Resources Administrative Personnel Officer for about 2 years, Millwood Magnet Middle School, a Center for Math, Science, and Technology, in the capacity of leadership coach and teacher for 5 years. She began her teaching career at the Kalamazoo Advantage Academy, where she worked for 9 years as a teacher, recruiter, and summer school principal. Lisa has served on several committees, including the Wellness Committee for the district, to implement programs and create events to promote wellness for students and staff. She has mentored students and provided professional development to teachers and parents throughout her career. Thank you.
I need a motion, please.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
I have a motion from trustee McGlynn, seconded by trustee Hill, that we appoint Dr. Lisa Dewey to the Director of Student Services. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Seeing none, I'd like to congratulate Dr. Dewey on her appointment. At this time, we will have persons requesting to address the board. Joanna Miller.
It's green, so I'm good. All right, excellent. Hi, I'm Joanna Miller. I'm the president of Kalamazoo Support Professionals. We're the labor union that represents paraprofessionals, including Montessori teaching assistants, office staff, library assistants, campus safety and school bus drivers, and contractual and workplace issues. That's my scope as a union organizer. I'm also a school bus driver. I'm here with both my hats on. After attending a meeting regarding the grant for the Educator Compensation Program, we, the presidents of KEA, UAW principals, and myself for KSP were informed of exclusions. For KSP, office staff, campus safety, and bus drivers are not going to receive that bonus. As per your HR representative, we do not work directly with students. My collaboration with the principals, teachers, behavior specialists, home support specialists, and paraprofessionals to honor my students' IEPs, behavior plans, and their specific needs beg to differ. I manage behaviors, construction areas, and communication with the transportation office while maintaining safety in traffic with vehicles that increasingly act like they can't see the big yellow bus with the flashing lights. To be very clear, this is more about the arbitrary exclusion of valuable educational support staff than the money itself. The requirements for this grant are very intentionally vague without a reporting requirement. From this vantage point, it appears the district administration doesn't believe that office staff, campus safety, and school bus drivers impact our students' academic achievement in any significant way. And I encourage a reassessment of that decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Pearl Rojas Brown.
Hello, it's been a minute. Hi. My name is Pearl Rojas Brown. I am a para, but we call ourselves associate teachers. I'm going to go right off of what Joanna said, and I want to add a little bit more. As campus safety officer, works directly with children in their most vulnerable emotional state. They have to de-escalate, they have to support, and then they have to listen. And by the very end, they have to do what is needed, but they still work directly with children. Secretaries, they work directly with students when they need ice if they get hurt, if they lose a tooth in elementary school, when they're passing meds, when they stay after school hours when a parent arrives late to pick them up. They are very important to us, and they do work directly with students. Bus drivers, they are the first face of the district that families and students see, and the last face that this district sees, that the students see. They work with them directly when they have a rough day, a rough start to their day in the morning, and when students need to tell somebody about their day at the end of the day, because sometimes that might be the only time they get to talk. So, and each one of them are there for a student that needs a hug and a friendly face with no questions asked. So please, widen the scope. Thank you.
Thank you. Asan Dia.
Hi, everybody. My name is Asan Jah. I'm a bus driver for Kalamazoo Public School. Well, I mean, I usually come here when it's about money. You know, usually when I come here, it means it's about the money, you know. Well, I mean, this time is kind of crazy because it's just like you have a family member who keep telling you, we are family, we are family, we are family all the time. Now that family member win the lottery, and now he's telling you, actually, we're not really family. KPS, we are family. Bus driver, teachers, all of us, janitor, kitchen staff. Now, we have money. Now they're telling us we're not part of KPS in some ways. Bus drivers, I've been here for 21 years driving a bus. Every year, from the day one, all they told us, your job is about the kids. Your job is about students, the kids. I got a little scared. I'm like, okay, I'm about to start driving American kids. It's risky. We went and started doing it for 20 years. But now, it seems like my job is not about the kids. It's just the teacher and the parapro. No. I mean, let's make it a little bit bigger. The last time we asked you guys for a little bit of something, you guys give it to us. And thank you for doing that. This time, we're asking you, let us be all together. Put us in that group. Bus driver, security, the secretary. Go to any of the school and see how the security react with those kids, interact with those kids. The secretary too. Go to the school, go to the building. Secretaries, security, bus driver, we all family. Let us work together. Thank you.
Dr. Todd Ellis.
Moment as I readjust that. Thank you very much, as always, for the opportunity to speak to the board, to you, Dr. Slade. I am here, like the others before me, to discuss some of the concerns regarding the implementation of this MCL 388.1627L, which took a long time to find. It's interesting that it's very short, and all it says is that the money is to be given to educators. And I think you've just heard compelling evidence that our bus drivers and our secretary and our support staff and our security are all educators in their own way. And it was not defined anywhere else in Act 94 what an educator is. So it seems from that evidence that the decision was made in-house, who is an educator and who isn't. And I think there's an issue that comes up because of that. According to several members of both the KPS and KSP unions, they were informed after the fact, after the decision had already been made, who would be eligible for this additional compensation. Now, regardless of whether or not it was legal and within the rights of the district to make that determination, there was a real missed opportunity here, because simply reaching out to the unions and saying, we need to discuss who is going to be eligible for this. Who would you argue should be included? And having done that ahead of time would have reinforced the goodwill that we earned by helping, for example, KSP get needed raises this past year, and helped to dispel some of the mistrust that exists between our unions and the administration of the district. We could have done that and built a relationship. Instead, we found a way to alienate the unions and to alienate people who thought they were part of the family. So, having said that, I also want to briefly address the board's role in all of this. It's not clear if you were involved at all in any of this decision making. It would be hard to say from what I've heard, so I'm not going to assume anything. But you are the people's elected voice to this administration. Should you have been involved? If you were, did you just go along with the recommendations, or did you question whether or not we should have consulted some of the people who were affected first? Did you raise questions? We need you to be our voice. We can't be at these meetings, but the board has the oversight of the administration, and I implore you to use it when these things happen. Thank you.
Shona Espinoza.
Ready. Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Shona Espinoza. I'm the vice president of KSP. I'm a parent. The disrespect that we get from administration is ridiculous. We are support staff. We need respect as long as, just like everybody else. When we come into these meetings or these rooms or these schools, the respect is something that we deserve. We give it, we should receive it. Don't talk down to us. Don't talk to us like we nobody. Don't be in the same room as us and act like you're higher up than us, because we are all on the same play field here. We all care about these kids. When you come into a building, your support staff matters. When we walk into here and come into meetings, we matter. You might sit higher up because you get paid more than us, but you're not better than us. We work in these schools. Y'all sit behind desks and come in when y'all feel like it. And then when y'all come in these buildings, y'all don't treat us with respect. Y'all don't speak to us. Some of y'all don't even want to interact with us. You might have a higher paycheck than us, but we do better work than you. We all deserve to get treated equal. We all are here for these babies. They are who matter. They're not paychecks. They're human beings. We matter just as much as KEA does. And I think that's something that y'all need to start understanding. Hold yourself accountable. It's more than just the image. It's how it runs inside. If your staff isn't happy, do you really think the kids gonna be happy? It's more than just the image. Hold yourself accountable. Treat your support staff like they real people. When you come into a building, don't act like you too good to speak to us. That is something that a lot of us are noticing. You come into these buildings, and the only people you want to talk to is the principal. But guess what? We make that building run. So that's something you need to think about. Even when we walk into these meetings when we do union work, we matter. These unions are going to hold y'all accountable.
Nathan Ward.
Hey, can you guys hear me? Hi, good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Slade, and everyone attending physically and virtually. My name is Nathan Ward. I am a wrestling coach and campus safety at Loy Norix, as well as the campus safety representative for Kalamazoo Support Professionals Union. I'm here today to talk about the Educator Compensation Program. As many others have already spoken about, it is my understanding that Kalamazoo Public Schools intends to use the money received only for teachers, paraprofessionals, and principals. In reading the legislation that provides this grant, it was created with the intent that districts will use the funds to increase educator compensation. I want to highlight one very important word here, educator. In defining the word, I want to borrow from an article written by Karen Gross. According to her, educators are those who help students learn, acquire different skills, solve problems, develop habits, values, and spur creativity. I find that to be a very appropriate definition which doesn't restrict educators to a singular title. As campus safety at Loy Norix, I certainly see myself doing these things on a daily basis. I may not teach about World War II, but I do help kids learn how to communicate their feelings and do so in a healthy manner. I may not teach public speaking, but a lesson in how to have a conversation with a staff member who they may not like is a skill I'm helping to start develop. I may not teach jewelry design, but I encourage and support students who have achieved or succeeded in a class, job, or interpersonal relationship. You see, I may not be in the classroom like teachers and paraprofessionals, and I'm not a building principal, but I still consider myself an educator. So I believe that only compensating teachers, paraprofessionals, and principals with this grant would be a horrible mistake for the board to make. Please compensate campus safety, bus drivers, office personnel, and everyone else that works daily as educators to improve the academic, interpersonal, and career prospects of every child, every opportunity, every time.
Thank you. Abigail Strong Morse.
Sorry. I have paper copies as per the board's stated recommendations. Should I give those or? Awesome. Esteemed members of the school board, my name is Abigail Strong Morse. I am a senior at Loy Norix High School. I've come to advocate decisive action and ideally revocation regarding the current policy of KPS on hats and hoods in high school. I'd like this policy to be changed for two reasons. Firstly, I believe that it doesn't make much conceptual sense. I've only ever heard one explanation for this policy, that it enables the school to have an easier time identifying students who break rules. However, the school rightfully allows students to wear masks to prevent the spread of diseases, but a mask can hide far more information about someone's identity than a hat or a hood. Secondly, and more importantly, I believe there's a clear-cut case to be made that this policy violates students' First Amendment rights to self-expression. As the Supreme Court ruled in Tinker v. Des Moines, students nor teachers shed their constitutional rights to freedom of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gate. By limiting students in such a drastic way in terms of clothing, I believe this policy limits students' rights to self-expression. If a student wants to wear a hat endorsing or criticizing a political candidate, that should be their prerogative. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Magic D.
Good evening, Board. I just want to congratulate that young man for coming up and speaking. Proud of you for doing that. Keep that up. I want to give a big shout out to all the speakers that came before you. Again, standing in the back, just hearing some of the bus drivers' excitement as their student bus rider was getting recognized for their achievement in the classroom. So again, that echoes that village that it takes to educate the students. And that also is, I recognize as a strength for the district, being able to work as a village. But accordingly with that, I just wanted to ask, now I was looking at the compensation pay. There's a big disparity between administration and those on the front lines that are in class. And I understand that education plays a big role in that, but it always seems like the ones that do the most work always get the least pay. And I haven't been in education that long, but I've seen a lot of quality educators leave because of the disenfranchisement, the less monies that are put into the classroom, and everything is still put on the teachers. Teachers coming out of their pockets to pay for things that should already be in the classrooms. So one of the things that I want to ask the district is that when you are looking for monies, to not always think of it as the teacher that is doing the work, because if it's not of the work of all the support staff, then the district won't run. So when we're looking for monies, to not always exclude the support staff, but look for grants and monies to pour in, because that small pot of money that Kalamazoo got for the people that were said to possibly get that money, that's still not a lot of money. That's not a lot of money when you split that up between all the people that's going to be split against. But again, there's a lot of things that still need to be worked on, and I encourage everyone to come out on April 18th. And Dr. Slade, I want you to think about the situation that you came into, coming into Kalamazoo. There are a lot of people that came up to this podium to try to seek a resolve in their buildings and could not get that. That's one of the reasons why you probably only got 2 people to show up and done. So I hope with your leadership, and again, I'm open. I've sent emails that don't get responses. I got my sleeves up. I'm willing to help. Thank you.
Elena Evans.
Good evening. I haven't been here in a while because I've kind of had some anxiety around approaching the board again. But kind of just to piggyback, I wanted to ask if there are anything that can be done or that's maybe being done in the background to get actually more support staff and resources into some of our elementary schools. Specifically, I'm asking for Washington Writers Academy. Washington Writers Academy, because that's the district that I live, or the school that is for my neighborhood. I had my youngest son went there kindergarten through 5th grade, and in the middle of that, COVID hit, so kind of a wash for those, that last year. But my daughter is currently in 2nd grade, and I actually made a decision to pull her from the school. I'm emotional about it because I didn't want to. Those teachers and the support staff in there, they work really hard. They do, but there's simply not enough. The kids in that building have a lot of emotional stuff going on, home stuff going on. We're one of the neighborhoods that has a higher rate of poverty, so all the things that go along with that. But my daughter wasn't getting a chance to learn, and she wanted to. And there was just so many interventions that needed to go on. So anything that we can do to kind of shine a light on that school again. Quite a few years ago, there was a loss, or the state tried to shut that school down, and we were able to get a bunch of grants and pour into that school, and a lot of improvement was made, and the principal did a great job spearheading that. So I'm just wondering if maybe we could go back to that. One of the reasons I pulled my daughter is not because I don't think that the teachers are trying or the support staff is trying, but my son went there, like I said, and I had to pull him from Millwood Middle School, and he's now doing KPS virtual. He was often told that he was defiant, refusing to do his work, that he didn't try hard enough, that he could have done better. Since he's been home doing online school, and I work from home, so I'm with him, I am seeing that he literally couldn't do the work, you guys. So he's being yelled at and being told that he's not trying, and he is frustrated. He was having outbursts, but he literally couldn't do the work. I have had to sit with him and teach him how to learn. And all the interventions that I'm told were there, he didn't ever get any of them. So instead, he was met with countless suspensions. I sent emails, I made phone calls, I showed up to the school. I am an involved parent. And so it's just been really devastating for me. I'm running out of time, so I'll close with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Kay Babcock.
Oops, sorry. Yeah, so I'm here in support of the staff, the bus drivers, and the paraprofessionals, and the safety officers who are not getting this pay. I don't know who made the decision, honestly, because it's like so disconnected from reality, just like everybody said. It's almost like I was dumbfounded to find out, like, what do you mean, like, these workers don't work with the kids? Like, they interact every single day with them. Even I know that. I'm not even at the schools every day. So it just really talks to how important the staff is. Just like Shona was saying, like, there's no respect, there's not enough pay. Like, it's a class issue, right? Like, it really is a class issue that, like, people who get paid more administration, they feel like they do more of the job than the people who are actually in the classrooms, seeing the kids every single day, and that's not fair. I think that we need to address that because I saw the optics, I saw the panel of, you were on that panel of, I don't know, like groundbreaking Black leadership and all these things, but if 50% of students have literacy issues across all grades, and 1,500 to 2,000 students at KPS schools are houseless, homeless, and 67% are unidentified. That means they're not being helped. They're in school sleeping, hungry, they have issues, and they're not getting any support. I don't understand what is groundbreaking about having leadership that isn't actually doing anything. And as I've heard from other organizations, actually going against the things that orgs have advocated for, like social emotional learning, like more investment in programs for literacy. And those things are not happening. So what exactly is happening in the schools when we say that there is leadership that can make a difference? What groundbreaking, systemic, like entrenched, uprooting is happening in these schools? Nothing. On the contrary, parents are getting these intimidating absentee letters. All you care about is the testing, which was very apparent by that article, that all you care about is showing the state that these testing scores are up, when in reality, the kids don't even know how to read. The kids are being criminalized. The school to prison pipeline is well oiled and just taking these kids for granted, just like you take your staff. That you're not willing to pay more, that you're not willing to acknowledge that they have an influence over these kids and that they need more funding so that they can properly help the students. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we will have seeing no other business, we'll have comments by trustees. Trustee McGlynn.
I have comments from trustee Patty Schaller-Barber. Starting with Lauren Norrick's athletics, the women's basketball advanced in the district tournament for the first time since 2009 with a win over Portage Northern. Senior Xander Ligman finished sixth place at the MHSAA Division I and was named to the All-State team, and I think we saw her today. Sophomore Isaac Patrick was very respectable 12th place overall. The spring season is off and running. There were canceled events last night to cold weather, but everything in the spring begins earnest on April 2nd. All the schedules for those events are on lnnights.com. April 3rd will be the LN at KC baseball softball event at the new fields at Kalamazoo Central. Should be a great community event. It starts at 4 o'clock. Don Lucan's track meet is at Loy Norks on Friday, April 26th. It will be a huge event with 34 teams. Both proms are May 4th. Ellen will be at Delta Conference Center from 8 to 11. The 14th annual Loy Norks People's Choice Awards is on May 14th at 7. It's a definite don't miss event. And then going over to Kalamazoo Central, the good news right now is that we're excited to begin the spring season with 333 athletes competing on 11 different teams. The breakdown is as follows. Track has 160. Boys Kalamazoo United Lacrosse has 25. Girls Kalamazoo United Lacrosse has 24. Girls Tennis 21. JV Girls Soccer 18. Varsity Girls Soccer 17. Varsity Baseball 15. JV Baseball 15. JV Softball 15. Varsity Softball 12. Boys Golf 11. Patty would like to shout out to communities and schools for a brilliant 20th year celebration gala, beautiful event honoring 20 years of our great partners' efficacy as so much care of our KPS students and their extra needs that teachers have challenges meeting. Congrats to Kalamazoo Central on their fabulous, accomplished production of Peter and the Starcatcher. It was very well done. A giant and appreciative shout out to First Day Shoe Fund in their spring shoe distribution to 10 of our KPS elementaries. The shoe distribution is the second of the year. So if sports shoes distributed in the fall were worn out or needed changing, the students were accommodated. Very important work to ensure that the KPS kids start the year with great shoes and continue that throughout the year. Please support this great organization with your volunteering, monetary support, and verbal thank you for the staff you may know. And last, it's the season of our great staff who are eligible for retirement, and they're submitting those retirements. All of you, please know you are appreciated for your many, many years of amazing service and care for KPS students, no matter the position you had or KPS service you gave. Congratulations.
Did you have any comments?
Just a couple to echo Trustee Schaller-Barber. First Day Shoe Fund is really an amazing organization, and they do great work in the district. So a shout out to them and to our retirees who have spent so many of their years dedicated to KPS. Big congratulations. It is spring break next week, and that means there'll be a lot of kids in the neighborhoods and out in the community. So I just ask community members to be supportive and be aware of that. And that's my comments for tonight.
Trustee, who wants to go first? Trustee Murphy.
Thank you. First, I would like to thank everyone who came to speak. It takes time, it takes effort, and it takes a certain amount of courage. So thank you. If we don't hear it, then we don't know. And if we don't know, we can't do better. So thank you for coming out. If you don't have the time or ability to come to the meetings, please remember that you can email. We have gotten a number of emails. I have gotten a number of emails, phone calls, and texts, and that is part of my job as an elected official. So please continue to communicate. That is what we're here for. Thank you for doing that. Additionally, we are going on spring break. I hope that everyone takes half an hour to themselves. I know I will try very hard. And I get a tiny break from forensics, so that's really cool. And I look forward to the community meeting in April. Thank you.
Trustee Hill.
I was fortunate enough to attend the spelling bee, and so hats off to our students, our two who were friends. It was fun to watch them on stage talking and encouraging each other, and then they placed first and second. The shoe distribution, I got a number on that. 3,900 pair of shoes were given away at the 10 elementaries. Spring sports, they did start last night because I worked a concession stand for girls lacrosse, so they didn't cancel all the games, and boy, was it cold. Also, Maple Street's Play is coming up, the 12th, 13th, and 14th. It's going to be hosted at Lincoln because they have a lovely theater there, and the play is Oliver. And Wednesday, on May 22nd, from 4 to 6:30 is the Bronson Park Art Show. If anybody remembers it last year, it was fantabulous. They had the pictures on the sidewalk, and all the what do you call those signs, like they're like political signs, but it was the students' artwork was all photographed and put on the signs because you can't bring certain things down there, like all the paintings and whatnot. And it's going to be really large this year. And I noticed Girls on the Run began because they're running all over the neighborhoods, which is awesome. And in spring break, be safe, have fun, have a good time out there, and think about all the fun things you can do on spring break that would probably promote education too. Thanks.
Trustee Johnson.
Okay. I don't usually have much to say at board meetings, but today, first, I want to say thank you to everybody who had something to say, who took time to make us more aware of your feelings and how you see what's happening. I wish I could say more, but continue to let us know how you feel. I hope to see you at more board meetings that are not financially driven. I appreciate your presence. I appreciate you at the school buildings. I appreciate the work that you do. And I stand in support. But I ask you to view things from a holistic point of view. Leadership takes work. And sometimes people are quick to say, you know, watch how you're speaking to me, right? Watch how you're talking. Sometimes we have to watch how we listen, because we have to be willing to understand sometimes, even when it becomes emotional. And we have to be willing to set our personal aside and get to the facts. I have to regulate my voice right now. And leadership is not common. What is following. And a lot of people, a lot of situations, we don't have accountability. And so when you haven't been held accountable for a long time, and then you have leadership that does hold you accountable, sometimes emotions get in the way. And there's a fight, an unnecessary one, because we all have the same goal, and that is our children's success. And our children's success is discussed here every 2 weeks, in the classrooms every day. Show up, and we will. The continuous conversation about pay, I understand. But please understand where we have to come from as well. And the third-party information makes it really hard to understand. So it takes a lot of reading and getting back in information to get the full picture. So please, bear with us as we continue to lead the district and do the work too. It may seem easy, but it's not as easy as you think. And your job is not as easy as some other people think. We know that. I know that, if nobody else does. We hear you. We see you. We're here for you. Keep voicing your opinion, please.
You can't speak. Thank you. I don't have much to say. I just want to, yes, sir. Ma'am, you can't continue to disrupt the meeting. Thank you. I just want to remind students and families to have a really safe spring break, to take some time to relax and to really just relax. The other thing that I want to say is that as we continue to do this work, we will continue to do this work, making decisions in the best interest of students. Dr. Slade, you had something else to say?
Just before we close, again, I want to recognize some of the amazing work happening. Some of the things that we talked about tonight, some of the best in the state. The two wrestlers that we talked about, he didn't get into detail, but those are two of the best wrestlers in the state coming from Kalamazoo, especially the young lady, history making. Also the young gentleman, the two gentlemen from the spelling bee, again, they're going to, I thought it was Wilmington, they said that Maryland, to represent Kalamazoo at the national level, because across this region, they were the best. So I want to recognize those students. Also want to, again, just recognize the schools we talked about when I said every school except one made amazing improvement in attendance. Amazing. And I'm not humble about it. Probably some of the most improved schools in the state, and that's the hard work of everybody, the whole community. So again, I want to recognize that. And I also want to just take ownership so people understand the decision made regarding that educator pay, that was not a Michelle Dorsey Smith decision. It was not a board decision. That was a Dr. Slade decision. So please, again, I don't hide behind folks. That was not a Michelle Dorsey Smith decision. It was not a board decision. It was a Dr. Slade decision. And I'm also going to say, because there's some misinformation, I'm going to use that word, some misinformation about what's going on, Ms. Coney will work with me, and I will schedule an information session the week we come back just to correct the misinformation. Not saying anything is going to change, but just so you understand why the decision was made. I don't like misinformation. So when we come back off of spring break, and I probably will invite 10, 15 people, you could pick that. We'll send something out, but I just want to make sure there's no misinformation going out about it. And again, I appreciate I appreciate input, transparency, but just make sure that we give factual information. And I don't want any misinformation, because again, there were some guidelines coming from the top, and we were within those guidelines. So again, I don't want anybody mad at the board or Michelle Dorsey Smith for a decision that I made. So again, I'm just trying to model transparency and ownership and being factual, because some of the stuff that was said tonight was not factual. So you'll see something when we come back after spring break, where we'll have a few representatives who can come, and I'll have an informative session on why I made that decision and some of the guidelines coming from the state. So again, I want everyone to be safe, especially our students, parents. Spring break is a time for fun, rest, rejuvenation, but also it's important for everybody to be safe. So again, thank you so much.
I need a motion to adjourn this meeting. I have a motion by Trustee Johnson, seconded by
A second.
trustee Hill. Our next meeting will be in this room April 11th. Have a good evening.